Okay, so we are reviewing today everything about linear functions, since on Thursday and Wednesday we did slope. So first of all, we're going to talk about our key vocabulary. So we know the x-intercept is where it crosses the x-axis, obviously. We know it's written number, comma, 0. Another word for the x-intercept we know is 0. That's another word. The y-intercept, we know that's where it crosses the y-axis. We write it 0, comma, number. For the slope, there's a couple different things they could ask you about the slope. First of all, we know in equations that the slope is m. It is in front of the x when it is y equals mx plus b. When it's solved for y, that's where the slope is. And we also know that you might be using y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 if they give you points or a graph. Some words that we haven't really talked about in a long time is parallel. So we know parallel means the lines have the same slope, but we also know if I was looking at a graph, that means they would never touch each other, that they just run alongside each other, but they're never going to cross. So that's parallel. Perpendicular, the lines have flip and switch slope, and they will cross, and when they cross, they make right angles. So a picture of what that might look like, let us pick orange. So you have one line going, and then you have another line, and they make a right angle when they cross, okay? It's not just, oh, they cross and do whatever. They cross and they make, this is a 90-degree angle in there, okay? It's like the corner of a piece of paper. That's a 90-degree angle, okay? So the main thing we're trying to do is, first of all, we have to know the vocabulary. Second of all, in order to type it in the calculator, we have to know how to solve for y. So there's different ways that your equation can look, and we need to know, how do I solve each of these for y? So the first one is when it's in standard form, which means the x and the y are both on one side, and we know, oh, well, I'm going to move the x to the other side. When I move it over there, I put the opposite sign, so it was positive 2x. So now I'm going to put minus 2x on this side. That leaves me with negative 3y equals 9 minus 2x. And then we know, oh, you just divide by negative 3. When you divide by the same sign. When I type it in Desmos, I'm going to leave it this giant fraction, 9 minus 2x on the top, negative 3 on the bottom. I'm not going to simplify it all. I would just type it just like this. Okay? Another way that you might have to solve for y is if you just have like an 8y on one side. The x and the number are already together, and it's just the y on the one side with a number. So, oh, I'm at this step. So to get the 8 to go to the other side, I just divide. Just divide. And I'm left with a giant fraction. So 9x plus 12 on bottom, top, 8 on the bottom. And that's it. One step, we're done. And then sometimes it could be in point slope form, which means that, like, instead of having like 8y, you have y and then plus or minus some number, which we have talked about before. And we know that to move this negative 1 to the other side, I'm going to put it as a plus 1 at the end. I do the opposite sign of what it says. So this said negative, so I make it a plus. And we know when we would go to type it in, we would type it like this, okay? So those are the three main ways that they're going to have you solve for y. So using this skill, using the vocabulary, we're going to answer some questions. So it says, which graph best represents negative 5y equals blah, blah, blah. So my main job is I want to type in Desmos, but I cannot type it in if it's not solved for y. Oh, so this is the one where it's the number and y together. So what do? Well, I just need to divide by negative 5. Just divide by the same number. Okay, I'm left with my big fraction. So negative 6x plus 15 on top, negative 5 on the bottom. I am typing this in. So let's go to Desmos. So we're putting y equals, I put the big fraction. I put 6x, I don't remember what it was. Negative 6x plus 15. Negative 6x plus 15 on top. I put negative 5 in the bottom. There's my graph. So I know it's going up. So I'm going to cross off the ones that aren't going up. Those are going down. These are going up. And I'm checking where is it crossing the X and Y axis. So it's crossing at -3 and positive 2.5. So -3, boom, positive 2.5. This one didn't cross at -3, crossed at positive 3. That one's wrong. This is the answer. Okay. The next one, the graph of linear function k passes through these points. Okay, well, let's graph those on the graph. So we're going to put -7, 0 is right here. 1, 8 is right here. I would connect those with a straight line. Now, on the STAAR test, if you're doing it on paper, make sure you use your ID to make it a real straight line. We can just use the straight line tool, and that's pretty helpful. Okay. So it says, which statement must be true? So it says the slope of the graph is -4/3. So when I see slope, I know I'm going to try to do y2 minus y1 because I want to find the slope between these points, which we reviewed already. So I'm going to do it super fast. xy, xy, first, second. Okay, I plug it in. So I have 8 minus 0 over 1 minus -7. So that gives me, I would type that in Desmos, and that would give me a +1. This is obviously not +1. I cross it off. Letter B, because I'm looking for which one is true. Letter B, the graph of k, this is k, passes to the point -1, -8. That's down here. Is this on this line? No, that is not true. The 0 of k is 7. We know 0 is another word for x. Intercept is at 7. That's over here. Does it cross over there? No. Cross it off. Last answer choice, the x-intercept, okay, of the graph is -7. Yes, that is where it crosses. So that is the answer. Okay? Easy. We just, whatever it's talking about, you have to figure out what it really is. Does it match what it said? Okay, the next one. What is the equation in slope-intercept form of the line that passes through the point 5, 0 and is parallel to the line represented by this? So first of all, I got an equation. I'm going to type that in Desmos. And I'm also going to type this point. We're going to type both of them in. 1.2x plus 3.8. Here we go. Y equals 1.2x plus 3.8. That's what it said, right? Yes. And then in the next line, I'm going to graph 5, 0. Great. Okay. So I want parallel. Parallel means they're not going to touch. And they're never going to touch. And this, whatever my answer choice is, has to go through this point. So I'm checking that it doesn't touch and it goes through this point. So let's type in choice A, 1.2x minus 6. So down here, y equals 1.2x minus 6. So I see that they're not touching. I see that it's going through my point 5, 0 over there. So that's a strong contender right there, although it is the first choice. So maybe I check, I'm going to put M. I'm going to check the other ones to see what the wrong answers look like. So the other one was -1.2 plus 6. So like this line, it goes through the point, but it crosses the line. And we said it's not supposed to touch that line. That is why B is wrong. Okay, if I type in C, that was +1.2 plus 5. So I see in this answer choice, I'm seeing, oh yeah, the lines never touch, but this line doesn't go through the point like it's supposed to. Okay, so that one's also wrong. Okay, D is also wrong. So yes, choice A was correct because it did both things. It didn't touch and it went through the other point that it was supposed to. So you're going to go ahead and do the formative. That's it. Like, those are the main ideas. So that's all you have to do. Solve for y, type it in. Make sure you know what it looks like. Otherwise, go ahead and get started.